Hello everyone. I want to take this time to make this little small video to show the connection between SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Springfield community, and the Log Cabin School. That is, if I can get it to move. So in 1965, when we was having voters registration, some of the teachers, educators from the Murden High School were helping people to register them to vote, helping them to read and write and pass the test in order to register. Some of those teachers were Dr. Evan Harris, who was principal, his wife Ann Eubanks Harris, Calvin Turner, who was involved with the SCLC movement, and his wife Florence Turner. This is McGee, and I forget this gentleman's name, but they say he was also helping. During the ending of the school system, the teachers who I just named, the superintendent didn't renew their contract. And so the students were very unhappy with that, and they boycotted the last day of school. During the summer period, they talked about how they would try to integrate, because everything in Taliaferro County at that time was separated. The restaurants, you had to come through the back door. The park, we weren't allowed to go there, then to the pool or anything. And so they decided they would integrate these things, and they marched from Friendship Baptist Church all the way to Crawfordville to the courthouse. Now they selected Frank Bates as their student leader, and then the scope members were still there. This is Candace Weber with Bob and Frank, and this is Judith VanAllen. So they were still there, and because the scope members were actually university students, I do believe two of them came from California, and I think Joseph Cooney came from Washington, D.C. But they were students or graduates that came to help us, and so they were able to help us with the Freedom School, because the students refused to go to Murden. When they were boycotting, they had to, superintendent of school were using the bus to boycott, to transport the white students to the neighboring counties to go to school, but she wasn't allowing the black kids to get on the school buses. And therefore, the black students every day would go out and they would lay in front of the buses, and they would try to stop them from moving. Of course, the state patrol was there, but they, like I said earlier, they refused to go to Murden High School. They couldn't go integrate the white school because they closed them and they was busing the kids elsewhere. So they started attending the Freedom School in Springfield. The university students were allowed to teach those students so that they could continue with their education during this process. Now, they were marching from Friendship Baptist Church to downtown Crawfordville. This is what we know as Black Street. It was black businesses. It was on the back side, not the main street in Crawfordville, but they were on the back side. This is, of course, is the courthouse. Those black businesses were barbers, clothing shops, things of that nature. After the marching was over, and this may be a little bit out of place because this is talking about when the Crawfordville Enterprise opened and the Dr. King's tribute that was held at Friendship Baptist Church. But the point of this is to show the leadership that came to support us. There's Dr. Abernathy on here, Dorothy Heights, Father Cooney, of course, but there are people who are showing their support for what we were trying to do to become economically free, to sustain ourselves. These are some more pictures of the marching. This is downtown on the courthouse. You see Calvin here, and this is one of the nuns who came with Father Cooney to participate. This is one of the older marching members, Joe Turner, with his NAACP badge on. And this is showing the kids marching back to the bridge, going back to Friendship Baptist Church. The march wasn't easy. People got hurt. Change is never easy. This is one of the Ku Klux Klan members attacking the photographer, Britt Cage. years ago, years after the movement was over. Brig Cage came to visit, and we got this picture here. And this is what I was talking about with the Crawfordville Enterprise. This is Randolph T. Blackwell came to help out Calvin Turner and Robert Billingsley, who you see in this picture. This is Calvin and this is Robert. This is my mom, who was a volunteer for the program. This certificate shows the CEP program, which was headed by Septima Clark. It is signed by her, Dorothy Cotton, and Andrew Young. This is Calvin's certificate showing that he had taken the class and now he was ready to go out and teach others how to register to vote. Mr. Turner was involved in the SCLC movement. This, of course, is Joseph Cooney. He's no longer a father. Well, not in the Catholic sense. He may have children, but the last time I heard, he was still alive. And he still lives in Washington, D.C. But this is him with Calvin Turner's wife, Florence. I don't remember this lady's name. And this is Florence and Calvin's 5 daughters. This is another picture showing the nun. She's standing here. In the background is Springfield Baptist Church. This is Florence and Miss King with the children outside. And this is my mom, Lorraine, and Judith VanAllen taking their children to the park. Remember, the children, the daycare and Head Start program were necessary for the sewing plant. So in 1975, when Ebony Magazine came to do that article on blacks helping themselves, they were able to talk to Randolph T. Blackwell, showing that his idea of wanting to give jobs to those women who were housewives, and he had trained them to how to use machines, sewing machines, and how to make caps. He had a silk screening and sewing operation going, and so those women had to have a place for their children to go to, and so the Head Start and daycare center was the place. This is Michael Bowman. He was 3. He's probably one of the younger members, but his mother was one of the seamstress. This is I think it's Troy and Ralph and Philip. This is Manigo, Cassandra Manigo and Glenna. This is Shirley and Deborah and Karen. These are the cubbies that's inside the Springfield Log Cabin. They still have the children's names on them. This is just a picture of some more of the children. This is a girl we call Hussy. I think her name is Sharon. And Gloria and Sharia. No, this is not Sharia. This is Carolyn Grant. And Miss Turner again. And this is the school. This is the church. I'm so sorry, people. The church is next to the school. It's not in view of this picture. And because of that, many times the kids played in front of the church yard rather than in front of the school yard. This was a nice little walk for them. So here we are. And you can't see the kids really well, but they're in the door. The church has changed some now. It has a front to it. But, kids will be kids. This article talks about how our votings were messed up. People were being paid to vote, given they were being threatened because they, of course, lived in homes that was owned by white people. And so many times, if they thought they was voting for some black person, they could lose their home and lose their job. It talks about the corruptness of our voting, and the other problem that we had was jury selection. They had these rules that's so unfair. You had to own property to be on the jury. You had to be considered sane. No guidelines for the criteria for how you would say this is an upstanding citizen, or how you would determine that he's sane or not, But they had these rules and so it eliminated black people from registering to vote. It eliminated black people from not registering to vote. It eliminated them from being on the jury or for being elected to a board member. So the board was 100% white. before 1965, because this case wasn't won until 67. I want to say Fouch versus Turner. After the case, it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and once they won that case, blacks was able to be on the grand jury and get elected to be on the Board of Education. And so now I think we have a majority black board members. Because what happened, we didn't win the integration fight. We tried, but they outsmarted us. The Turner versus Goolsbee declared that it was unlawful to use the bus to transport white students to neighboring schools and not allow the black students, and which is what the superintendent was doing. She was shipping those white kids to neighboring counties so they wouldn't have to integrate. And when that didn't work for them, they decided they would just close down the white school after they gave it to the blacks, and they started attending a private school. And they continue to attend the private school to today. But there are a few blacks and Spanish-speaking students at the school now. So it took us a long time, but hey, we're there now. This is the log cabin school that was the Freedom School. It was built somewhere in 1935, became a school for blacks from 1937 to 1955. So it's now a community center. We're trying to restore it, to save it so that we can bring it back to its glory days. We can tell the story of the Springfield community, its history of the people who built this building. This I added because I think it's so cute that Reverend Andrew Young would send us Christmas cards every year for Christmas. We would get a card from him when he was in Washington, D.C. And it was always fun to get those. It's one of those little kids' memories. I was sitting only 9 years old at the time, so it was really special to me. So I added it to the slide. And of course, the holiday season are coming. October, Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we want all of y'all to be safe. This is the board members with the 2019 Places and Perils Georgia Trust participants who were helping us to receive grant money to renew, to restore, to bring this building back to life. So that's the end of our slide. I want to thank y'all for this opportunity to give you a little bit of history from the Springfield community. Have a great day.